Hey, this is Steve Sapato, and you're listening to the Happiness Agenda today. We started off with a couple glitches. We had to switch platforms, but you know what? We made it. And today I am blessed to have Mark Papadas with us, so we can talk about many things that are going to help us all be happier. Is that what we all talking about, Mark?
Basically, I consider myself a messenger for happiness and success. So I certainly hope that's what we're going to talk about.
That's great. Give us a quick background of what you do and why you do it, and then we'll talk about how you do it. Okay?
Absolutely. So as you said, my name is Mark Papadas, and I'm known as the Be Great Guy. And that's because of the work that I do bringing personal development to kids. So if you have to describe what I do and myself in one sentence, I like to say it's like Tony Robbins meets Charlie Brown.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so basically a number of years back, I started a nonprofit foundation called the I Am for Kids Foundation.
I'm
And the
sorry.
key,
It's called the what?
so the I Am for Kids
There
Foundation.
you go.
And the whole concept of it is how to help kids to develop an empowering identity. In other words, how do they finish the statement, I am dot, dot, dot. Okay?
No, adults can't answer that, can
Exactly. So
they?
I worked with adults for over a decade before I started the Kids Foundation. Basically, I had an epiphany at the end of 2009 that made me literally change the course of my life. And the process that I teach is the same whether it's adults or kids. Obviously, it's just taught in a completely different way. But the first step of it is they're given a blank sheet of paper. It just says the words "I am" on it, and just go ahead and finish that thought. Now, when I did it with adults, over 80% of the time they would answer with their name and or their occupation. Right? Neither of which has anything to do with who you are. Your name is a label you were given by your parents when you were a kid,
That's right.
and very few of us get to do what drives us. What we're passionate about for work to as a way to putting food on the table, kind of thing. What was scary was in the pilot classrooms that we did that. Well, first off, close to 100% of the time they also answered with a one-word answer because that's how kids answer questions, right? I know, how was school today? Good. Right? That's just that's just how they are, right? But the scary part was that over 50% of the time, those one-word answers were negative traits or characteristics. Like I am fat. The most popular ones were I am fat, I am stupid, and I am ugly.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, really. So, because like you said, it doesn't matter whether you're a kid or a grown-up, most human beings have never really given that question any conscious thought. So if you haven't decided for yourself, really what you're left with is the lauded voices that are in your orbit and what they're saying about you or telling you. And especially when you're a kid, I like to refer to kids as wet cement. Anything that comes in contact with them makes an impression.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if we can,
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because
sure.
you know what's funny? When I do my talks, one of the
Mhm.
things I ask people is, if you do you want to wake up in a good mood? How many people wake up in a good mood? And about half the audience raises their hand normally. What's wrong with the rest of you is what I ask. And I go,
Right.
would you really like to be in a better mood when you get up in the morning? And people always go, well, yeah, I mean, some go, I don't care, because they don't care. But
Right.
for most of us, we want to be happier, don't we? So I just tell people, go into the bathroom, close the door, turn on the light, look in the mirror and say, I'm the best looking person in this room. And the audience laughs, of course, and there's always that one person out there who goes, well, you're the only one in the room. I go, that's not the point. The point is you've given yourself a positive affirmation, right? And you can't help but smile at yourself when you say something silly like that. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what people don't know how to do, is how to make themselves feel better. And I'm so glad you're taking it with these children because especially in today's society,
Yeah.
children get negatives from all over the place. I do a big thing on don't do this, don't do that. You can't do this. We won't be doing that, as opposed to we can and we do and we will and we are. And that's what you're teaching the kids, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, the identity is the key piece because our identity is how we live our lives, whether we realize it or not. So you might as well make a conscious decision and decide to be who you want to be as opposed to just kind of going through life wandering.
Absolutely. And that's I'm writing stuff down here because you've got a lot of good things already that I want to pick up on, I want to develop. And so when you started this foundation, let me ask you the question. Do you have books out? Do you have videos out? What do you have out?
So the answer is yes to all of the above. So the the foundation is all about, I created a program. It's me interacting with 5 animated characters, all based on real children, by the way. And I take them through the 5-step identity building process in that program. So all the school has to do is order it. We literally do not charge the schools a penny. They literally just have to say that they want it. So it's a complete curriculum. So it comes with the teacher's guides, parents' guides, workbooks for the kids. It used to come with DVDs, but the technology has changed to now where they would stream that. Okay.
Yeah.
We can still provide them some DVDs if they need them, if their technology is behind the times. But
so the first thing that pops into my head is you say they can get the 5-step identity process for free. Who pays for it? You got to get paid, right?
So basically, we go out and find sponsors, but I get paid in a different way, not necessarily through the foundation. Okay. So the foundation purely has an altruistic mission, and as we want to get this program in every elementary school in the country over the next 10 years. Doesn't matter if somebody pays for it or not. So my team will go out and find sponsors if, say a large city wants to do it, and they, because obviously that's going to have a much greater cost to produce kind of thing. We'll happily do that. There's ways that we can make it a benefit for that sponsoring company, give them some goodwill in the community kind of thing.
Okay.
Where I get paid. Good.
So if I wanted, let's see if I can word this right.
Sure.
There's going to be a lot of just parents watching this, right? So if I wanted my kid's school to have it, who would I contact? How would I get that done?
So as far as signing up for it, you just go to the foundation's website.
Which is?
It's I am the number 4 kidsfoundation.org.
.org.
Okay. And there's an application form on the website.
Okay. Let's repeat that so that everybody's got it, because some people just now went, oh, I better get my ink pen out, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure they have it. I am for kidsfoundation.org.
Correct.
All right.
It's
I am the number 4 Kids Foundation. I am for Kids Foundation .org.
.org. Right.
Okay. So if you want this at your school, first look up the website, go look over the information, start the process, reach out and get in touch with Mark. Mark, what's your email, or how do you want them to contact
you? They can actually contact, but probably the best way is through that website. There is a contact us form there as well. So all of those I see automatically, but they go to other team members as well. So I may, be honest with you, I may not be the one who responds kind of thing. But yeah, any questions, would be more than happy to answer them. But like I said, pretty much all the information is on the website as far as that's concerned.
Now, I'm looking behind you at that future Grammy winner poster, okay? Mm-hmm. And I can't see the one directly behind your head, but I always relate a story about that. Retail Magnet, I like that.
Yeah.
A story about that. I had a stepson way back when I was younger. And he was in, I think, junior high, I think is where he was. Now, he loved to draw, and his mother said, boy, she always said, great drawing, great art, you're wonderful. And I'd look at his stuff and go, now I never told him this, but I went, that's crap, man. That's anybody could draw that. But you don't say that to your kids. So you always encourage them. He went to junior high and was in an art class, and the art teacher told him, you probably shouldn't take art classes anymore because you're not really good at it. And you know what? The kid never drew again.
Right.
Well, especially in today's world, when you see what they call art, some people throw paint into a jet engine and let it spew back on canvases, and they call that art. Don't tell me my kid couldn't have done that. But it's amazing. He never drew again. And stories like that, I'm sure, where the kids were discouraged and went, I'm not going to do that anymore because it's embarrassing. It's disheartening, right? And that's what you were against, all that stuff.
Yeah. And even maybe take it, I don't say necessarily a step further, but those are the types of things that, depending on, your socioeconomic, where you're growing up, that you're told from the youngest of ages that you don't have a chance.
Yeah.
Right? I've gone into schools where the life expectancy for the males in the surrounding, 4 or 5 miles is in the mid-20s.
Oh, wow.
And so to me, a success when I go in and speak at a school like that, it might be great to have somebody be, the next at the time, one of the person I was using, for example, you remember with Christopher Gardner, the man that the movie Pursuit of Happiness was about?
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't know that
Okay.
was his name, but yeah, Pursuit of
Yeah,
Happiness, fabulous movie. But yeah,
absolutely. So he was a person that I was using as an example at the time because I was up in Chicago. He was headquartered in Chicago, et cetera. And obviously that was the audience that I was in could identify with that. And sure, so it'd be great to have one of you, two of you, whatever, come out of this and come up to be the next Christopher Gardner. But when you realize that and this is something that we had talked about in the rest of the presentation, they said life expectancy in this area is roughly 25 years old if you're lucky, right? To me, a success would be if one of you rose up to be the next Herb Smith, the State Farm agent in the neighborhood who grows up to get married and have, 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and lives a long, happy life.
yeah,
That's a success to me, right? So
absolutely.
yeah, so that's one of the things where it's so important to get to the youth and get them to realize that they get to decide. They don't have to necessarily take what the surroundings are telling them to do. And once they do decide that's hardened into their soul. And that's when it becomes so much harder for them to be recruited into gangs, doing drugs, all those different types of things that aren't beneficial to them. Because
We
when it comes to, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, we talk about that. I mean, I think there's always a background murmur from people as to what causes the crime, what has recently over the last few years that I can remember, they started talking about the societal issues. Like the reason most of the crime is conducted is done by Black people in relationship type thing. The reason is because of their surroundings. Like they don't have a parent, they don't have a dad most of the time. They don't have this, they don't have that. And when you lose hope, um, where do you have to go? I mean, that's why you say they die young, they shoot each other, they do this. I mean, I don't know what the surroundings were on that particular societal issue, but it's the lack of hope, the lack of a future that we don't perceive. You say, why shouldn't I take it now? Right? I'm going to take it from you because I want to take it now. And that's really tough if we don't show them how to get out of where they are. If we don't give them that hope, like future Grammy winner. Wow, what a thought that they might be able to become a great singer. I was just talking to my grandson here the other day, and we were talking about what it would take for him to become something. It's like somebody had said, well, he said, my teacher was really down on sports, and she said I should just quit sports and I should dedicate my time as opposed to trying to play sports a little bit to memorizing my lines for theater or practicing my artwork or practicing. He does music. So he does xylophone, I think is what he said. And it's one of those deals where we talked about that at some length because I said, when you get out of school, we put so much emphasis on sports. And when you get out of school, really school, where are you going to be able to, number one, make a living, number two, make a part-time income, and number three, find your happiness? And it's usually in your artwork, it's usually in your singing, it's usually in your music. And we downplay that because sports are so powerful. And really, sports doesn't give us a future. There's a song out from somebody from decades ago that it was talking about he only goes to these things and they always talk about what used to be, right? Billy Joel or somebody. And they talk about what used to be. I live my life again by reliving the sports I had in high school. And you're like, what a sad state of affairs that we don't present ourselves with more opportunities like music, that type of thing, artwork, all that stuff that could really enhance our lives.
Yeah, I'd say it's to find. Don't be ashamed of the things that you enjoy. So like I'm almost the antithesis of what you said. So for example, I have conversations with my daughter on a regular basis who's very into music, and she can quote lyric lines and stuff like that. When I hear a song, I pretty much listen to the melody.
Yeah.
And if I like it, I listen to it. And I can even, I might know the lyrics and sing them, but when you hear them spoken or you read them, you're like, wow, that's some really deep stuff. I wasn't getting that from just bouncing around to the song. The flip side of that is, I grew up an athlete, And even though I didn't get to play professionally, I still, one of the things I enjoy doing at least once a week is playing basketball with the guys that are half my age, because it's my only aggression outlet. It's one thing, you work out, you get endorphins going and stuff like that, and that's great, but it's nothing like bouncing off of another guy going, for boxing out for a rebound kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But that's what gets me. But not everybody is like that. So yeah, go do your dancing or your singing or your artwork. I'm if I had that same art teacher that I think you said was your grandson, they definitely would have told me, yeah, this art is not your thing.
yeah.
I just can't figure it,
That's right.
right? Nothing
Yeah,
but smart faces.
and
I can
while
do
I
pretty well.
appreciate, yeah, and while I appreciate it might not be your thing. My niece is an example of that. She went through high school and then she went to college and she got a theater and I forget what it's called, but she did all the backdrop work. She did
Okay.
um, all the props and she did this prop masters and that kind of stuff. And she really worked hard, got her degree in theater. And my sister said, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? And I looked at my sister her senior year and said, you know what? She has a dream to go to New York City and be a property master and work behind the stage. I said, why don't you take the money, that you were going to spend on another year of college and send her to New York for a year. You pay her expenses, basic expenses. And my sister did that. She sent her off to New York City for a whole year. And Heather spent a year in New York City looking for jobs, finding out that it, first of all, didn't pay very well. All the stuff. But she spent a year there before she finally said, "There's no future in this for me." And that was a reality that
Mhm.
really faced up to. But if you don't have that opportunity to face that reality, if somebody just says, "Hey, you're no good at this, don't even try," what a shame. Because now
Right.
she at least, when I was growing up, I was in a band in high school and the first couple of years of college. And in high school, especially, we spent 4 years I bet you we spent 50, 60 hours a week practicing outside of high school. And we all said, there were four of us, all said, when we get out of high school, we're going to go to California and see if we can make it. And of course, by the time we got to be seniors, two of the guys had job, or one of the guys had a job, so he wasn't going to quit. One of the guys joined the Air Force, and the other guy went on to college. And I was like, I thought we were going to California. I thought we were going to strike it rich and be famous. And they all went, we got to do this. Now, fast forward 40 or 50 years, for the last 10 or 15 years, the guys will say, man, we should have gone to California. They still have that regret. I
Mm.
look at it realistically and go, have you looked at the musicians who went there? They're phenomenal. Right?
Yeah.
We thought we were good. We were good in our little microcosm. And they still have that dream that what if? And I'm like, what a sad state way to spend your life. What if? As opposed to you teaching the kids how to be great, how to develop themselves so they can find all that inner working, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's to me that's what it's all about. I think the best compliment that I ever got about what I do was I got done speaking and I came off and I was just chatting with a woman and she's like, I'm not so sure I can get behind this. And I kind of give her that look like, really, why? And she's like,
Yeah.
well, it's like I'm a life coach, and if you do your job right, 20 years from now, there won't be any need for me. And I
Oh,
was like,
a little selfish there, were you?
yeah, yeah. And then she laughed about it. I was like, okay, well, I get that is kind of the whole idea. I'm not necessarily trying to put out a whole industry out of business, but
Yeah.
if that happens to be happening, so be it.
So, Mark, tell us again how to get in touch with you, all about your website. If you've got another thing like a book out there you want them to pick up or what they should do, okay?
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'll not so much rattle off a whole list, but we already talked about the I'm for Kids Foundation. So you can also go to thebegreatguy.com. So that's my website. So if somebody wants to hire me to come and speak at their school, at an event, etc. You
So,
can
wait,
also,
okay. So, because people might only be listening to this, it's the B E,
right,
the Be Great Guy
right, .com.
.com.
Yes. And everything
Okay.
you need to know about me is there. If you they want to get a copy of my book, that's available there as well. And the other thing that I would like to plug, if you don't mind, is we're developing the world's first animated reality-based TV show for kids. And the show is real stories of real kids who have gone through the program, developed that identity for themselves, and who are embodying their identity, whether it be within their their family, their community, and sometimes beyond, because don't have time to go through the whole 5 steps, but the 5th step of the process is to live it. In other words, to be that person that you've decided for yourself. And the requirement for that phase is that you have to come up with a project that embodies the identity you created for yourself. And the only rule that we put on it is that it has to benefit somebody other than just you. So you can benefit from it, but somebody else has to benefit from it as well. So
Do you have an example of that?
Well, like I said, in case you haven't figured it out, I Am for Kids is my I Am project.
Okay, sure.
Okay. But some of these kids, when we're talking about like some of you see on the posters behind me about investing in the future generation of leaders and entrepreneurs, these kids they don't necessarily realize it, but they're very entrepreneurial. They come up with ideas because usually they want to make money so that they can get something, right? Whether it's a new skateboard or whatever. And so when you put it upon that it's not just about them making money, that somebody has to benefit, they come up with these amazing ideas. Now, some of them are impractical. Like one of my favorite ones was there's a girl who wanted to do an online lemonade stand because she used to like mixing up the flavors. So she liked lemonade with strawberry and stuff like that. And her concept was that somebody could order them and then she would mix up and put them in little Ziplocs and mail them out. I was like, well, we can't really mail powder through the mail, but let's keep exploring that, right? Kind of thing. One of the projects that did come to fruition, it wasn't our kid, we had absolutely nothing to do with it, but to give you an idea, is this young man, his father was in prison. So he doesn't get to see him. They could do phone calls and stuff like that once in a while, but they never got to actually see each other. And his whole thing was, now granted, this was over 10 years ago, was basically, to use today's terminology, was Zoom for prisoners. So that they could actually do video calls and he could see his dad and his dad could see him. That has come to fruition. So a lot of these kids come up with some amazing things, and then we're turning those stories into kids' books, etc. But anyway, what I originally wanted to say about it was we're holding an open audition because we're putting together the pilot episode so that we can pitch it to the networks and the streaming services. So again, if you go to the foundation's website, IamForKidsFoundation.org, near the very top, you will see the section talking about the TV show. So we've got a little video there saying what the show is going to be all about. And if it's something that you would like your kids to do, we're holding open auditions on Instagram and TikTok, because on the website, there's a little script for them to read. All they have to do is read it, tag us when they post it on Instagram or TikTok, and then we'll select the top 10, and then we'll put it back out to the community to let them decide who will be the voices for the pilot episode.
That is so cool, man. All right, so I got to wrap this up because we don't want to take too long and be boring. We'd rather they wanted more information and ask us for it. You can reach Mark off his website. What is it? I Am for Kids Foundation.org. Yes. Remember org. And you can reach him at thebegreatguy.com. Yes. You can reach me at steve@stevesapato.com. We will love to answer any of your questions. This has been a phenomenal idea, concept. You can change your kid's life. You can change other kids' lives. You can change people's lives by helping them grow in their own perspective and their own confidence in what they want to do. Mark, this is phenomenal. I love that we connected. Certainly, we're going to stay in touch. And I'll share this with all the grandmas and grandpas in my over 55 group. And maybe you'll get a whole bunch of stuff and pick out the right ones. Look for a kid named Bentley. He's probably going to be one of the ones you pick.
Got it.
Okay. Any last words for us, Mark, that you would love to share with the people before we go?
No, just pretty much the way I end every conversation, especially with a kid, is just to remember to be great.
That's it. Be great. And if you have questions about it, hey, maybe you ought to take the course or sign up for the system, right? All right. Hey, this has been great, Mark. I appreciate your time, and we're going to push the stop button. And anyway, God bless you all. This is the Happiness Agenda podcast. You can reach us anywhere there's a podcast out there. God bless.